If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. And you can make money from your podcast without any minimum amount of listeners. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download your free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Hello, everyone. This is Kay. I am going to be hosting the show tonight. We are a company that has a foundation and mission to build lifelong friendships with women across the globe. Our name is Real Girlfriends Across America. We'll be bringing you hot topics each night, and we are always on the lookout for new topics. Follow us on Facebook at Real Girlfriends Across America and head to our website, realgirlfriends.org. Now, tonight, I have on the call with me Corinne, Tawanda, and a host of other girlfriends. And tonight, our topic is going to be the continuation, part 2, of 10 ways that we lose focus. So first, before we get started, I want to check in with the callers. Tawanda, you there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here along with a guest.
Hi. How about you, Corinne? You there?
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome. So we're going to get started. The last time we did this show on 10 ways that we lose focus, we stopped on number 5 and 6. We're going to rehash a little bit for those who either were not on the call or were on the call and would like a refresh. So what we were discussing is if you have ever had a time in your life when you were driven, focused, ready to conquer anything, and then something happened and you were completely sidetracked and knocked off your path. Now, this happens to all of us. The challenge to get back on track can be extremely difficult if we are unable to identify and address the reasons why we lost focus to begin with. And as the saying goes, in order to address the problem, you first have to admit that there is a problem. So today we're going to continue identifying and discussing the rest of the 10 ways that we lose focus. Now, if you remember, the last time we talked, we went through the list. Number 10 was laziness, and we talked about why this was so difficult to overcome. We talked about procrastination and why that is so difficult to overcome because most procrastinators have really good logic for staying the way they are. Number 8 was financial struggles, debt, and loss of job. Number 7 was family problems and family separations. Number 6 was friendship troubles, which could also include ending friendships or relationships. And number 5, which is what we're going to go over again today, is having too many goals, overextended, and feeling burned out. Now, another nemesis of staying focused, of course, is having too many goals. We've all gone through this. I've gone through this myself. You won't be able to conquer everything, but you want to do everything. And while we are only human, doing everything is just not possible. Having too many goals can stretch you to the point where you are unable to complete everything that you have on your plate satisfactorily. And the only solution to this is to take something off your plate so that you can focus wholeheartedly on what drives you the most. Now, I remember that the last time we did this question, we asked everybody the question except Corinne, right? So we're going to start with Corinne.
And what's the question?
Have you ever had too many goals and as a result became overextended and burned out, and how did you handle this?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are times where we want to do everything and we want to, accomplish the world, and we have to try to like prioritize and just reevaluate what we're trying to do, and what's important and what can wait. So yeah, there's been times where I had to sit back and just decide on what needed to be done at any given time.
Great. Okay, so was anybody not on the call the last time we talked about 10 ways to lose focus that would like to give an answer to the question also? Anybody? Or anybody just want to speak up?
Yes, Chanel is on the call. She's brand new, and she wasn't here last time.
Hi, Chanel. How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I am alive and well, thank goodness. You want to tell us your answer to the question?
I guess that the time that rings most true to me is when as a young wife and mother and in school. I was very goal-oriented on the job and also goal-oriented at school and with my child, making sure she's on her markers and all of that. But for myself, anytime I get into that mode, for me, at some point you burn out and you hit a wall, so you have to reprioritize, and that's, how I've handled it thus far in my life.
So basically reprioritizing.
Yes. You have to, once you energy and mentally get tapped out, at some point you got to figure out, okay, I can't do everything. I got to figure out what's most important.
Right. That's a very good point. Asking yourself what's most important. That's a good point. So when you do that, when you ask yourself what's most important, what do you do with the things that are not as important?
So depending on what, your life, how your life is set up, you can either set back, reallocate time appropriately, or some things if you decide, it's not really that important, it's just really something I want to do, then you may have to put it off for the moment. For myself, I'm almost embarrassed to say, 14 years to go to school, but I did that while I started before marriage, and I was still in school after marriage and after having my child. So there were periods of time that I took some semesters off. There were times that I only did online. There was times I only did full-time. Sometimes I did part-time. So, I just readjusted accordingly to what I could handle at the moment.
That's a really good point. I like how you said how you needed to reallocate time, delay less important things, and readjust your schedule. Those are good points. Okay, so number 4, the next one on the list is transition, change, expected or unexpected. Another type of distraction that most people don't always consider is that transition and changes in daily life can cause these derailments. Even the smallest change in your schedule can throw someone off their flow. So, of course, large changes might have a much larger derailing effect. Some examples include a change of job, moving to a different location, a change of education choice, like Chanel was saying, having or adopting a child, marriage, divorce, etc. All of these things can cause derailment of focus as well as new stress on top of the distraction. So, have you experienced transition or change that was distracting? How did you handle this, and were you able to get back your focus, and how? And we're going to go with caller number that ends in number 5964.
That may be me. I'm sorry. This is Chanel again.
Hi, Chanel. Oh, you're calling from the 5964 number. Okay, let's go. Let's do this. Go ahead.
So I'm sorry. Say the question one more time.
Have you experienced transition or change that was distracting, and how did you handle this? And were you able to get back your focus, and how? So just, I can restate the questions if you, yeah.
Okay. So, yes, I divorced after 10 years of marriage. And for me, that was a very distracting time. I literally let everything go just so I could get myself together emotionally and get my bearings again. So even I sent my child to my parents for a year and a half. It took a lot to redesign my life, redefine my life. So I have actually my stepson now is going through that, and I try to tell people when it comes to divorce or death, you have to give yourself the time you need. It may not be a few weeks, it may not be a few months. I would say it was about a year and a half for me. So I just couldn't mentally take on a lot. I just had to kind of be with myself. And similarly, with the death of my father, just had to just take a step back. Those are the two major transitions in my life. Thirdly, I would say becoming an empty nester when my daughter went to college. Sometimes your life can be so focused around your children. Redefining my life as a single person without anyone else in the house. Having time to myself again that I hadn't had in 18 years. You just have to sit back and take a moment and redefine what do you want your life to look like and work from there.
Those are really good points. I like how you said that the transition and the change was so was so derailing, or it was so it created such an upheaval in your life that you had to just let everything else go and to take care of yourself. Sometimes we have to do that. Like sometimes change is so drastic and so chaotic that we need to just take care of ourselves. And that's important to remember, that it's okay to do that. It is okay to take care of yourself. And sometimes we forget that.
Yeah.
All right. Caller ending in 0261.
Yes.
Hi. How about you? So here's the question. Yes. Have you ever experienced transition or change that was distracting? How did you handle this? Were you able to get back your focus, and how?
Yeah, I had a similar situation, I guess, with dealing with death, and that it was a situation where I lost focus. I did relocate and change basically my whole life at that time. So yeah, I definitely, I guess, it was one day at a time, and just had to, I guess, figure it out along the way. And yeah, basically that's why I just let time heal everything and figured it out as I went.
Okay, so basically taking one day at a time, like you said. Caller 5834. I bet that's Tawanda.
Yes, ma'am. How you doing?
I am well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, thank you. Yeah, I would have to really ditto what Chanel said, as well as Corinne. I think one time, I may have mentioned this the other day, like when I think we probably go through the most transition when we have major life situations. Like when my father passed away, that, like, my whole life had to change, and that was like a year and a half ago. So I was planning to, like, relocate and do some different things, and when that happened, I had to halt my plans, and I moved, and then I had to figure out what I was going to do next, because I was in a situation that I didn't plan on, and of course you can't plan for death. And what I actually did to get out of the situation or to change it, it was really time. I